Hello and welcome into another edition of Joyful Parents. My name is Jay McFarland, and today I want to kind of bust a myth or an assumption that we make when it comes to our relationships. I kind of spoke to this in a previous video, but I really want to drive this home because there is an assumption out there that because we're blood, because we're related to somebody, that somehow means we're supposed to get along. And you probably have figured this out by now. It's not the case. It's not even close. As a matter of fact, I happen to believe that being blood relatives actually can make things harder. It can make things worse because we make this assumption that we're related, so we should absolutely get along. And when that doesn't happen, it puts added pressure on the relationship. Where when you're in other types of relationships, you don't have that added pressure or that added influence on your relationships. So I see this with parents and kids. I see this with siblings. We see this all the time. And with coworkers, not so much because you're not blood relatives. But the bottom line is that if you want a good relationship with somebody, it's not typically going to come just because you are blood relatives. And if that is the assumption being made, you're probably in for a lot of heartache. I'll give you an example. There's a member of my family who wants to have a relationship with my children. And they never text, they never call, and they'll post things on Facebook that are maybe criticisms of something that they have done. And they expect those criticisms to be accepted or understood. And this is from a person who has no relationship with my children whatsoever. And that's why it's so important that we understand that relationships are built. They're not just handed to you by birth. I'll give you another example. I have another person involved in our family who every time they talk to my children, they only want to talk about religion because religion is their life. And then they expect my children to want to be around them, to want to have associations with them. And I'm like, how can you expect to have a relationship with them when you are one track and you never ask questions about their lives? You have no involvement in anything else that they're doing. You're not even trying. And again, this is a trap that I think that we fall into in our blood relationships. If you want a relationship with somebody, you're gonna have to work for it. So if you're a grandparent and you want a relationship with your granddaughter, then you're going to have to make an effort to be involved in their life. Not telling them about your religion or what you think, but asking them about their life. Hey, what's going on? Hey, do you have a sporting event I can come watch? Come and be there on the birthdays. Get to know them and their personal life. It's just like this with any other relationship on the planet. You don't get a relationship with somebody just because you're both employed at the same place. You have to build that relationship. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes listening. It takes understanding. But for some reason with family members, I can't tell you how many families I know where you can't have a discussion around the dinner table because there is not a relationship that is established. I have somebody else, a family member who likes to hug, and this is somebody who I never see. We have no communication whatsoever at any other time, no texting, no calls, nothing. But when they see me, it's like this big excitement and they want to hug. And I'm not really a hugger, you know that. And it just feels strange to me that there's no attempt at having a relationship, but suddenly when we're together, we act like the relationship is there. And it's just not. I've seen entire families like this where there is zero communication outside of normal life, and then they want to have a family reunion every single year. And the family reunion is not there because everyone has these relationships and they're so excited to see everybody. It's because they feel there's a responsibility, some blood family responsibility, to get together once a year. But guess what happens at these reunions every single year? There are fights, there are people who are frustrated, there's people who get up and leave and they don't tell you what somebody said. There's just no relationship there whatsoever. So if you want a relationship with your children, and parents, this goes right to you. If you want a relationship with your children, then you need to be a part of their lives. We've talked in the past about how if they are constantly hearing negative from you, they're not going to want to be around you. It's the same thing with a relationship with them. You know, I see a kid come home from school and the parent says, "How was your day?" And what is the typical response? I've seen this from my kids. "It was great." "Well, did anything exciting go on?" "No, not really." "Okay, see you later." This is not how you build a relationship with your child. You have to know enough about them, about their friends, about the things and activities that they are involved in so that you can ask specific questions. "Hey, how'd you do on that math test today? Hey, I know you were having an issue with your friend. Did you manage to work that out? Hey, I know you had practice today. How's it going with, with your batting? Or did you have any good interaction with the coach today?" These are the types of things that build relationship. When you show an interest in them. I'll tell you, when I was around my father, I never had a good relationship with my father. He had this need to show me all of his toys, all of his things. So it would be my turn to be at his house for the weekend or something, because we went back and forth because of the divorce. And I have these specific memories of him opening up this drawer and he would show me his Rolex watches and he would show me his rings and he would show me his collection of this or that. But he never showed an interest in me. And then was shocked when I really didn't want to be around him. We have to understand, and I can't make this more clear, relationships are built. If you're lucky enough to have a relationship with a sibling or with a child without having to do any work, well, that's awesome. That probably means that your personalities are just, you just jive together. And there are people like that in my life and probably your life where you don't have to do any work at all. And just from the first moment you were together, two peas in a pod, everything's wonderful. But that's not always going to be reality. And as I've said before, you may have children that you struggle with because you don't want to be around them because your personalities clash. Well, show an interest. Show an interest in their life. Ask questions about their life. Be specific. And then follow up the next time you talk to them. Hey, I know you were having trouble in sports because of this. Or, hey, I heard you did great at this game. Tell me about it. And ask follow-up questions. Get them talking. Show an interest in their lives. If you want a relationship, you need to take the time to build a relationship. And I'll just tell you this. I have my mom, who I know wants a relationship with her grandchildren and with me, but she never calls, she never texts, she never makes any effort whatsoever to have that relationship. And I know she feels bad because she doesn't have a relationship with us. And I'm sitting here thinking, how do you expect this relationship to happen? How do you expect to know your grandchildren if you make no attempt? Her thought process is, well, they're my grandchildren and it's my son, so they should be doing all the work. They should be reaching out to me. And it's got to be reciprocal. And if it's not, then you can forget about the relationship. So relationship building is an important part of my online course, Joyful Parents. Hope you'll check it out. It's pretty inexpensive. You can find it at jaymcfarland.com. And I will give you a little secret here. Eventually, over the course of probably a year of these YouTube videos, we will probably cover everything in the course. So if you can't afford the course, then just keep watching. I know I shouldn't tell you that because, you know, what supports this channel is people actually purchasing that online course. But it's more important to me that you have good relationships with your children and that you have joyful parenting than it is then that you purchase this course. So if you can't do it, just keep watching. We'll cover everything and more. But if you want to cut to the chase and get principles and practices right now today that can help you if you're struggling with a teenager or with a younger child, I promise you that it will have an impact on your life right away. And the other thing you can do for me is to subscribe and push that bell so that you're notified when a new video comes out. We're publishing once a week right now. I hope this information is helpful, and I would love to hear from you and your comments and your stories and your struggles with the relationships in your family. Leave those in the comments.